What's up you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I am doing if you like this then I think you would like this book type of video, and I am doing it with some TV shows that I really like. I've seen this video going around on YouTube and I wanted to do my own spin on it, and I've read a few books lately that reminded me of some TV shows that I really liked. So I wanted to do my own edition of this video. Before we get started, if you are new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you like anything book related, book content, I would love to have you back on my channel. And if you are a returning viewer, I love you so much and I appreciate you so much. And let's get started. So I am gonna start with the book that started it all off and the book that gave me the idea of doing this particular video, and it is The Midnignt Library. And I think if you like the show Being Erica, then you would love this book, The Midnignt Library. This is an older TV show. I don't know where you can watch it now. I know there's some episode on YouTube, but I don't know if there's an actual streaming service that has this TV show. But when I was reading this book, it reminded me so much of that TV show that I started to watch it again because I loved that TV show. And the premise is very similar. This is about a girl who's trying to commit suicide, and then she wakes up in this like library, and then this librarian is telling her there's all these books, and each book is her life if she had made a different decision. And she is asked to do like a list of regrets, and they go through one by one. The show Being Erica is basically the same thing. We follow a girl named Erica who is kind of living life and not feeling fulfilled with life, and then she ends up in a hospital and she meets this doctor and like therapist basically, and he asks her to list a bunch of regrets, and he is basically able to bring her back to the past and see how those decisions affected her in the future. And I mean, I loved both of them. I loved the book, I loved the TV show as well. They're very similar. It might be a spoiler, but even like the overall outcome and the ending of both of them are quite similar, but I love both of them. And I am in the middle of rewatching this show because I liked it so much, and this book really reminded me of that. So yeah, I think if you liked the show Being Erica, then you would love this book. So let's go with a more recent TV show that you can watch right now on Netflix, and it is the show Dead to Me on Netflix. I watched that show when it first came out and I loved that show. It was so funny. I really like that show, and I think if you loved that show then you would really like Finlay. Donavan is killing it. They're both mystery thrillers, but we're with a very funny undertone, and it's not even an undertone. Honestly, they're just so funny, both of them. They're so light and like fluffy, but they are mystery, and really they are thrillers. The story itself of both of these is very different, but the overall feeling of those feel very similar because of how funny both of them are. There's this really strong friendship as well in both of these, and I really like both of them. I read this last month and I really like this book so much, and I love that show as well. So I do think if you liked that show then you would really enjoy this book. Going back to an older show now, but a very popular show, and it is Supernatural. And I think that if you like the show Supernatural then you would really like this book, this Sisters Red by Jackson Pierce. I will say this is much younger than Supernatural. This has a much younger YA vibe than Supernatural, almost middle grade, but I can't say middle grade because the love interest in this book is like 21, so I don't think it would be appropriate for like a middle grade to read this. I don't know, that's my personal opinion, but it is a younger YA, and Supernatural, I do think maybe older people do watch Supernatural, I'm not sure. Both of these are super similar. Basically they are both about two siblings that hunt monsters. In Supernatural you have two brothers and this is two sisters. In both of them, the older sibling is very into the family business. They want to do this, it's their duty, they want to protect people, and they are all for hunting monsters. And then the younger sibling kind of wants to try to get out of that life and maybe go to college. There's have a normal life, have a family, but they still feel like it's their duty and it's their responsibility to take care of these monsters. So I mean, it's super similar. In this book though, you only have werewolves. As in Supernatural, there's a lot more different type of monsters. If you watch the show Supernatural, there is a scene in this book where they're in a motel room hunting monsters in a city. And honestly, it felt so similar to the show. I just couldn't help but draw attention to the similarities between those two. I love the show Supernatural. I will say this was a little bit of a letdown for me. I had really high hopes for this one, but I didn't love it. But it was still a pretty good book, and I think for younger people out there, this would be a really good book. If you want to get into sort of like fantasy, supernatural things, I think this would be a good option for younger people out there. So yeah. Next one is going to be a TV show that I recently watched on Netflix, and it is, if you watch the show Haunting of Bly Manor, I think you would really enjoy the book The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. They have very similar premises of their story, even though the execution is quite different. Haunting of Bly Manor is more of a like horror type of TV show, and Turn of the Key is more of a thriller type of show, but they have these same premises, as they're both nannies that are taking a position in this huge manor, and then you're left wondering, is it a haunted house? Is it all in their head? What is happening? And I loved both of them. I will say I didn't love the ending of Bly Manor, but I loved everything of the Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Both of them I loved so much. I think if you like one, then you would really like the other. But like I said, Haunting House is more of a like horror type of TV show, and Turn of the Key is more of a thriller type of book, but the premise of them are super similar. I listened to The Turn of the Key as an audiobook, and I loved it that way because it is, the way it is written, it is basically this girl who is writing to her lawyer from jail, basically, because she's being accused of killing one of the kids that she was babysitting. Yeah, I loved both of them, and I would recommend both of them if you're interested in that type of storyline. Next one I want to talk to you guys about is, once again, one that is very similar in the feeling of both of these stories, but the actual storyline are quite different, and it is, if you like the show Switch at Birth, I don't know where it is, but it's an older show, but if you like the show Switch at Birth, then I think you would really enjoy Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. When I was reading this, the TV show kind of popped in my mind quite a few times. Like I said, the storyline is very different, but it is quite similar. Here you have two sisters that didn't know each other existed, and then when the father dies, they discover the existence of one of each other. One is living in the United States and the other is living in Dominican Republic. And in Switch at Birth, basically you are following two people who were switched at birth. And then one was placed in a very like white family and neighborhood, and the other one was living, I don't remember if it's like Mexican or like Latinx culture family. So that's why I felt like both of them were kind of similar. Also because I feel like in both of these stories, both of these characters kind of don't like each other, but at the same time they're the only one that can relate to each other because they're the only one that is going through the same thing. So in this story, they kind of hate each other because their father was lying to them because of the other sister, but at the same time they're both living through grief and they both lost their father, and they can relate to each other because of that. So I really like that aspect in this book, and it kind of has the same thing in Switch at Birth, where they're not resenting each other, but it's a hard beginning, like it's a hard way to meet someone when you learn that you were switched at birth, but at the same time they're the only one that can relate to each other because no one else kind of is living through that. Like I said, when I was reading this, that show kind of popped in my mind, so that's why I wanted to add it to this list. Okay, and the last one is once again a older show, but I loved that show when I was in high school, and it is, if you like this TV show Friday Night Lights, then I think you would really like this book, which is Until Friday Nights by Abby Glein. I mean, for obvious reasons. They're both surrounded footballs and like smaller town. They both have the same feeling. The storyline is very different. This is a romance contemporary YA, and Friday Night Lights is, I mean, it's a teenager show, but there's romance, but it's not like a romance TV show, I guess. Whereas this has a lot of romance in this book. Both of these stories have some teenagers who goes through some harsh things in life and are kind of going through teenage years, and they kind of both have the same feeling. And once again, the football thing is very important in both of these stories, and small town vibes. I don't know, I mean, that might be an obvious one, but I did wanted to add it on my list. That's pretty much it, guys. That's it for this video. That's it for my list. Have you read any of these, or have you watched any of these shows? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Were those good pairing or do you not agree? And if you have any combination that you want to share, leave your comments down below. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night depending on when you're watching this, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!